At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome back to the basketball show. Ryan, it was just great having both Avery and Kira in today, wasn't it?
I think it's the most amount of people we've had on the show at one time. Unless you count your grandkids on too. I don't know if that counts or not.
Well,
active mics.
Active mics. Yeah, we had all active mics going today. And that was just great because Avery is incredible in the community. And what his writing is so good. His reporting is so good. Like, he's such a passionate, hardworking, diligent man. And Kira, outstanding player at the University of Saskatchewan, doing, like I mentioned, a great job at building up the Nate Ookes women's program, and just a real advocate in the community.
She was inducted into a Hall of Fame recently.
Oh, is that right?
High School Hall of Fame.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. Deservedly so. Basketball show, Paul Sir, Ryan Reed with you today. Game 7 looming in the NBA. We talked about the WNBA and their, I would say it's safe to say, ups and downs going on right now. I'm going to touch on the 3x3 Hoop City event that's coming up. It's just a little over 5.5 weeks away now. We're going to be having top teams in the world down at the Ice Palace here in West Edmonton Mall. This is year 7 of hosting this event. We are the leader in North America in terms of hosting 3x3 events, FIBA 3x3 events. And for our listeners who aren't familiar, FIBA is the governing body for the sport of basketball, similar to FIFA in soccer. And 3x3 became an Olympic sport. It first showed itself in Tokyo, unfortunately in front of no one at that time because of the COVID issue globally, but then played before huge crowds in Paris in 2024. Our Canadian women finished 4th. They've been the world champions several years, and they are over right now in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. They just completed a women's series where they finished 4th again, I believe, and they'll be going into the World Cup next week in Ulaanbaatar. And we have the Canadian women's team over there. Catherine Plouffe will be joining them for that competition. Michelle Plouffe, because of her knee injury, is not going to be competing. Michelle has at various times for long stretches been the top player in the world in terms of points and ranking, as has her sister Catherine. Our legacy in 3x3 is incredible. Of course, I'm very proud of my son Steve, who only recently, after an 8-year stint, gave up his #1 status as the leading Canadian player in points in the world at 42 years of age, but he's the national team coach for the Mongolian team. He has turned a non-basketball nation on both men's and women's side into a highly competitive basketball nation with his leadership and coaching. He has Craig Wilson from Pivotal Physiotherapy over working with the team right now, taking care of their training. And they're getting ready to host the World Cup. And then we are busily getting ready to host the world again when they all show up here. And we have competitions July 31st through August 3rd at the Ice Palace. It's free. Everybody is welcome. You're going to see Olympic champions, gold medalists here. You're going to see the best teams in the world, both men and women's. And we also have what's called a light quest for men, and that is for teams that want to get into the FIBA 3x3 World Tour circuit. We, again, are one of the only places in North America hosting this. We also have an opportunity for a women's series qualifier. On the men's side, we have teams coming from New York City, from Atlanta, Georgia, from Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, and then, of course, Edmonton, Calgary, BC, Ontario, and Quebec. We have teams coming in from all over the country. So it's going to be an extravaganza. You really need to make the effort to come out. Like Ryan, one of my goals in forming the 3x3 Basketball Association is that 3x3 becomes to basketball what beach volleyball has become to volleyball, and rugby sevens has become to rugby. What you have is a choice of how you want to play the game. Both games are beautiful. Both games are wonderful. But 3x3 has such a beauty to it and is so much fun. And if you're thinking about a workout, you get a much better workout playing an hour of 3x3 than an hour of 5-on-5.
Especially for me, I didn't do a lot of playing 5-on-5, so.
Okay. Yeah. But 3x3 is, the cardio, it's kind of like a cross between hockey and basketball.
Also, from a consumer perspective, right? It's not just how you want to play basketball, it's how you want to consume basketball. I found for beach volleyball, I made the comparison. Beach volleyball is like a micro version almost, and it's just a fun, quick watch. It's entertaining. Same with the basketball, right? Like if you just want a quick, it's not super quick, but it's a smaller version, like it's half court, you know what I mean? Like a smaller version of basketball in that way, and it's more entertaining for different reasons. Right, in some ways, right? Just like beach volleyball is, or rugby seven, same thing. Smaller
100%. Version
of the game, and it's just different. It's a different experience, and you need some differentiation sometimes.
Well, you do, and I think the experience I've had over the years, and I've been heavily involved in 3-on-3 my entire life, but 3x3 specifically since 2010, is you don't have to be a basketball fan to enjoy 3x3. It's a very fast game. The games are 10 minutes long. The shot clock's 12 seconds. First one to 21 wins, and if it's overtime, it's the first team to score 2 points.
That's what those little games do. Like, for example, I wasn't a rugby fan. I'm not a volleyball fan generally, but I still watched it because it's entertaining. And same with the 3x3. You don't have to be a huge basketball fan to watch it. Just watch it because it's an entertaining competitive sport, especially in the Olympics, right? And the Olympics in general, I find myself going through a lot of different events that I'm like, I don't even know what this is, but it's entertaining. I'll watch it. I think a lot of maybe even just casual basketball fans or non-basketball fans in general have that effect of 3x3.
It really does. And no matter what, the game's going to be over in 20 minutes or less, no matter what, because you've got the 10-minute clock, the 12-second shot clock. Everything's going to move really quickly. You can only drag the game out so long. And so the entertainment value of 3x3, the atmosphere, the feeling. And by the way, we're going to set up a wonderful arena down on the Ice Palace surface. Of course, it gets covered, and then we're going to lay the court.
You're not playing on ice?
We're not playing on ice. I'm working on that, but I just saw a great video of tennis on ice, on skates.
Yeah.
I've seen that. It's pretty cool.
That's a good workout, I can imagine, no?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. That'd be incredible. But please mark your calendars. July 31st to August 3rd. You go to our website, which is 3x3ba.ca for all the information regarding the tournament. We have a lot of great sponsors that are going to be a part of it. We have an exhibition area, so there's going to be some fun stuff for kids to do. It's a very family-friendly event, and we want you all to be a big, big part of it as we continue our quest to develop 3x3 here, not just in the city of Edmonton, but across Canada and across North America. We're very proud to be leaders in bringing 3x3 to relevance in the basketball world. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Scottie Lindsay, who has been just on a tear with the Edmonton Stingers as the Stingers continue their quest to become a major factor in the CEBL. You're listening to The Basketball Show on your sports leader, Sports 1440. I take no blame or credit for that song. That was strictly on my partner, Ryan Reed. Ryan, you're 12 years old and you picked Delta Dawn from like 1972.
I saw a random edit of a player on TikTok, believe it or not, the other day, and it's been in my head ever since, so it's on now.
You know, the Edmonton Stingers are in year 7 in the CEBL, and one of the great developments in the basketball world has been the Canadian Elite Basketball League, and it's grown in both in terms of attention, attendance, and quality year after year. And one of the reasons it's grown in quality is because of its ability to draw in great players. And one of those great players is with me right now, and that's Scottie Lindsay, who has been on a tear for the Edmonton Stingers as of late. And Scottie joins us today. Scottie, thanks so much for making time to join us.
No problem at all. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. And speaking of doing great, you're doing great. And the team, you guys have really turned things around, haven't you?
Yeah. The last couple weeks, I think starting after that Montreal game, kind of just took a look at ourselves in the mirror, started to fix the things that we needed to work on, and we've been winning. I think we've won, 3 out of the last 4.
Yep.
So, just after that game, just practicing, getting everything together, it's been pretty good.
Well, now, Scottie, you have CEBL experience prior to coming to Edmonton, correct?
Right. I played for Saskatchewan Rattlers in 2022, and then I played for the Winnipeg Sea Bears last summer. Okay,
so now you're in Edmonton. How's the experience been so far?
I've loved it so far. Edmonton is a really great place. This organization is one of the best organizations in the league. Obviously, a championship winning organization that, expects that type of play. So it's been great. I've been blessed to play for this team and have this opportunity.
So, Scottie, being a part of the broadcast team, and I talk about this, I've talked about it a few times on the air, is right from the beginning of the year. And I had a chance to speak with you one-on-one briefly over at Strathcona High School when you guys were in your preseason camp. We had a nice conversation on the sideline, and what I was so excited about was the fact that you are such a good shooter and you bring that quality of shot making to the Stingers. But more than that, and I think what people need to understand and have really begun to understand about Scottie Lindsay is you're a scorer who can shoot, not a shooter who can score. And I think that you're really showing the full range and the multifaceted game that you actually possess in the last few games, haven't you?
Right. Yeah. I think sometimes with how the game's been going over the last few years and Steph Curry and everything, everyone falls in love with just the three and just shooting threes. And I think at the beginning of the season, I found myself shooting too many threes and my eyes kind of settling a little bit because I do have the height. I'm 6'6". I have a 7-foot wingspan. I have the height and the build to not only shoot threes, but get in the lane, play in the post, create for my teammates, get to the mid-range sometimes or just get all the way in the lane. So I think just using all of my tools has been great for me and not just settling for that three.
One of the temptations, I think, and I look forward to your opinion on this. When you're someone who not only can shoot the three but prides themselves on their ability to shoot the three, the term "falling in love" I think is appropriate. But do you also feel if the shot isn't falling, you feel that almost that sense of I've got to hit one, so you look too much for the three in a situation like that because you feel you got to hit one to prove to yourself that you can really shoot the ball, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it does make sense. There are some games that, you want to see that first one go in and then you keep, going. And I just have to remind myself sometimes that take good ones. There are times where maybe if I hit 2 in a row or something like that, then I'll take, a heat check maybe. But just these last few games, I've been trying to take good ones and still use the other facets of my game. So it's not like, and keep the defense on their toes too, because on every team scouting report is Scottie Lindsay 3-point shooter. So they're running me off the line every time. They're denying me the ball and stuff like that. So it kind of forces me to use other facets of my game as well.
I'm talking with Scottie Lindsay, playing for the Edmonton Stingers. Scottie's joining us today here on the Basketball Show. Scottie, looking in the mirror after the Montreal game. So the Montreal game took place on June 6th. A bad loss for the Stingers on the road. Since then, Scottie, you have gone for 23, 32, 20, and 28 in the recent game down in Red Deer with a victory over the 7-2 Calgary Surge. How much fun was it to play in Red Deer in front of a crowd of people who have never had a pro basketball game there, and number two, to beat the Surge?
Oh, that was an awesome experience. The venue was amazing to play in. It's always great to play in front of a lot of people. So that was an extremely fun game. Playing against the Surge, I feel like we owed them from the beginning of the season. We kind of gave them a game. The very first game of the season, we were up the whole game and lost it in Elam time. So, it was fun to, participate in a rivalry, but we also knew that we owed them from that first game of the season. So everyone was pumped up and ready to play, and it was a great environment from the tip-off to the end of the game. So it was a very fun game, and I think just another win that, helps us, even though, in that game it was close towards the end, even though we had the lead. I think that was an important learning experience for us because we're going to be in close games throughout this whole season. So I think that was a huge win for the team and just a great moment for us this year.
And the only thing, you're absolutely right. And the letter that matters is W. That's what gets recorded. So you can walk away, learn the lessons, but that W looks a lot better than the L. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
So Scottie, talk about your background, where you're from, where you played your college basketball, and where your professional career has taken you on your journey.
Yeah, for sure. I'm from Hillside, Illinois, which is right outside of Chicago, like 10 minutes right outside of Chicago. I went to Northwestern University, which is in the Big Ten, with schools like Indiana, Michigan State, Michigan, for 4 years. Graduated in 2018, and I've started my career with the Detroit Pistons. I signed to them and did training camp with them. 15 games into my career, I tore my ACL, so that kind of sent me on a little journey throughout the G League. I ended up playing for the New Orleans Pelicans G League team, which was Erie Bayhawks at the time. I ended up playing for Chicago's G League team, the Boston G League team, the Nets. I signed with them, ended up playing with their G League team. So I've been around a lot of places in the NBA, in the NBA G League. I've been overseas to Portugal. In 2020, I played for this team called Benfica. And then this year I played in the UK and in Luxembourg. So I've been around the world playing basketball for a while. I obviously love this game. It's been in my life since as long as I can remember. I remember starting to play at 2 years old. My parents bought me a hoop, and I've been in love with it ever since then. I'm named after Scottie Pippen. Just the Chicago roots of it all. So basketball has just been ingrained in my life as long as I've ever known. So,
well, you know, growing up in Chicago and the rich basketball history due, of course, to Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and the great Bulls teams of the 90s. How much of an influence was that in your life? You're named after Pippen, obviously. Your parents had something in mind here. Were your parents basketball players, by the way?
My dad played basketball. He was more of a baseball guy, but it was just in the city of Chicago, like, you can't really get away from basketball. I always talk to my friends about it. Like, basketball is just in your DNA when you're from Chicago. And those Bulls teams have had a huge effect on my life. As long as I can remember, my dad he had VHS tapes back in the day when we used to watch the VCR and everything. He had all the Bulls games, all the championship winning videos, all Michael Jordan DVDs and tapes and everything. So I've always studied those and watched them, and I still watch them to this day. Whenever I find myself wanting just a little bit of extra motivation or just want to study, I'll watch some old Bulls film just because I love those teams so much, and that history is just ingrained in me. So,
Scottie Lindsay from the Edmonton Stingers joining us here on the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. I'm going to ask you I'm going to ask you an era question here. You grew up in this great city with this great history with one of the most, if not the most iconic players in basketball history, in Michael Jordan in your midst. Which era of basketball do you prefer in terms of style of play? The 90s era or the present era?
I think I prefer the 90s era. I just think that the game today is just a little bit different. Just with, how much, guys shoot threes, I do think the game is a little bit softer. Don't get me wrong, the talent level, because of the generations that's come before, has inspired so much. So I do think that today's talent level most likely probably is better just because of the generations before and the game evolving. But I think just the style of play back then was just, I don't know, it was enticing. It was beautiful to watch. And it wasn't just, everyone rushing to shoot threes. Bigs were used a lot more. Like today, you see the bigs are on the outside. They're not even playing in the paint anymore. The game was more used by the whole team. It wasn't just about, one or two guys who, the TV are, advertising. It was the whole team. So I just really like that game, the era and how the game was played back in the 90s and early 2000s for sure.
Well, I think you make I think you've done a great job of describing the differences between the games, because the bigs are no longer, they talk about positionless basketball. It's great to have guys that can that are, 7 feet tall, that can step out and hit the three. I mean, Dirk kind of ruined it for everybody in terms of traditional post play, but that's great. I mean, they've turned into better players. At times, it seems like the NBA is going back a bit at times. I am really curious when you look at Wembanyama and the style of play. I mean, he's a 7'4" point guard now, or wing. Two guard, 7'4" two guard. And the athletic ability, I totally agree with you. But the rush to the three. And there's an awful lot of discussion about the overshooting of the three. And I think what's been interesting, I'm curious on your take about the NBA Finals, is the reemergence of the relevance, at least of the mid-game, not necessarily the back to the basket big man play, but certainly Gilgeous-Alexander, Halliburton, and a variety of other plays, J-Dub. I mean, the mid-range game is really important. And I've noticed that about yourself, too, is that you're willing to put the ball down for 1-2 dribble pull-ups. I think the mid-range game is so overlooked with the emphasis on layups or three-pointers.
Yeah, right around the time I started my pro career, I remember when I was with Detroit, and in practice, they'd be like, we want no mid-ranges. We only want threes and layups. And, I never understood that. And I was just like, okay, I mean, they're calculating, okay, a three is worth more than a two or whatever, and the points per whatever possession and shots. But I never understood that because I always felt like the mid-range was such an easy shot for me. The three obviously is worth more points and everything, but it's farther. If you just think about it in the most simplest terms, it's farther. So it's a harder shot. And we work on free throws. We work on, starting in and starting with form shooting. And I just always felt like the mid-range was such an easy shot for me. It was such a rhythm shot. And, a lot of the stars, if you watch, Jason Tatum, like you said, SGA, all of those guys shoot mid-range. And usually and Kevin Durant, they usually make those shots more than the three. So I just feel like it's an easier shot. It's a rhythm shot. And more often than not, it's going to go in. So I just really like that shot. It showcases your touch, showcases that, I can make a jump shot that's not a three as well. And it's a beautiful shot. I think if you have that shot in your repertoire, you should always use it just as a switch of pace from three, especially when the defense is trying to run you off the line like they're trying to do to me. And there might be a 7-footer in the lane. It's easy to just get in there and do a mid-range.
It really is, and it makes you much harder to guard because then the defense has to respect your mid-range, and they're not going to close out in quite the same way on your three-point shot. So I think it's really, really an important part of your arsenal. Well, tomorrow afternoon, Scottie, you and your teammates on the Stingers are going to be taking on the Winnipeg Sea Bears in a very, very good game. The Sea Bears are much improved, adding a couple of very good, very talented players. It's great to have you back on the home court. Scottie Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Basketball Show. Best of luck for the rest of the year, and hope we can have you on again.
For sure. No, I appreciate you guys having me. I love, being on the radio and talking. That's what I went to school for. That was my major. So I love doing stuff like this, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Scottie Lindsay, star for the Edmonton Stingers, joining us here on the Basketball Show. We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, Ryan and I will head into closing time. Welcome back to the Basketball Show, closing time. Our last segment of the day. Day has flown by. Great opportunities to talk with Avery, with Kira, and with Scottie, and of course,
and with Ryan.
And with Ryan, of course. And Ryan, speaking of which, let's talk about our poll question.
Who is going to win Finals MVP? That was the question posed today on Twitter, _show. The results were Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 74.4% of the vote. Pascal Siakam was second with 23.3% of the vote. Tyrese was third with 2.3% of the vote. And Jalen Williams, 0% of the vote. And that all adds up to 100%. It's math for you.
That's your math. That's great. Fantastic. Well, hard to argue. Hard to argue with Gilgeous-Alexander. Has been absolutely, what a season, MVP.
So if you math it up, 74% of people think the Thunder are going to win. And then if you add Tyrese and Pascal together, it's 25% of people. So it's basically, I will say, it's exactly the percentage I said.
It is exactly that. It
75 to 25%.
But you would never, ever, boast at all about.
No, I'm a very modest man.
You are. Your greatness is only exceeded by your modesty. So that's so true. We have a text as well.
Yeah, Mark texted in saying, "Hey, Paul, why would the Raptors have interest in Kevin Durant? I don't see him being able to carry a team to the next level anymore."
I agree with you, Mark. I think you're spot on. I mean, Durant's still at his, what is he, 36 or 37? 37. I mean, he's still very good, but Kevin Durant was never, well, I shouldn't say that. I guess when he was at Golden State, a lot of people felt he was really a good defender. He did change shots. I mean, he is 6'11" or 7 foot, depending on who you believe. So yeah, I mean, he'd be a great addition, but at what price? I mean, if you're giving up Scottie, or
I think I'd guess it'd be Emmanuel and RJ, maybe. Because I don't think, again, he's old, as we mentioned. He's actually is 36, by the way. You're right. He's not 37. But I don't know if you can, I think you can negotiate Scottie out of it. I think if you're getting Giannis, you have to give Scottie. If you're getting KD, I don't know if you have to give up Scottie or not. I think for 1 year, I'll play devil's advocate here. I think they could do a Kawhi-esque thing for 1 year and have, the lineup would be ridiculous. It'd be really good.
Well, talk about that lineup because I think Mark makes a compelling point. Let's walk through what that lineup would look like without. Let's say the Raptors are able to get away with giving away Quickly and Barrett and some
maybe
draft
they prefer
picks.
to give. What if they?
Well, let's stick with this.
Okay.
Let's stick with this. Let's talk about what the lineup would look like then.
So Brandon Ingram and KD in the front court with Jakob Poeltl, which is that's pretty good.
That's a good court.
Do you think they'd have to give Grady Dick in the trade?
Well, they might.
Okay. Well, if not, he'd be a guard for them. With they'd have to work on the backcourt a lot because it'd be O'Shea, Agbaji.
When you're forgetting Barnes.
Oh yeah, true. So I guess it'd be KD, Barnes, and Ingram. One of them have to play the two. And Brandon Ingram could play the two, honestly. No.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Either Ingram or Scottie could play at the two.
And Scottie can take the ball up too every once in a while to kind of give. They'd have to find like a mid-level guy because I don't know if Grady Dick's not a point guard.
Oh, no. I mean, they would have to go with a serviceable point guard. I guess the thing is that lineup compelling enough? Well, I'll take this back. I would give up Quickly. I would give up Quickly and RJ to get KD.
And a couple picks probably as well.
I'd probably roll the dice on that if I were Masai. However, still, if you did that, KD has a long history of injuries.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram has not played a game in a year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going into this with certainty that you're going to have the team you start the season with. If these guys are even healthy enough to start the season, you're not guaranteed that this is going to be a team that you can count on to be healthy for the whole year.
But isn't that the NBA? Like a safe dollar doesn't make any money, like kind of thing.
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to kind of roll the dice at some point to.
Yeah.
Like that's what they did with Kawhi, and it paid off. And obviously, it might bust with Kevin Durant. But think about the ticket sales, you'd be fine. Jersey sales, you'd be fine. And then if it doesn't go wrong, you'd
more
reset.
than fine. More than fine. I mean, the cachet would be unbelievable.
If you went back to 35, that'd be pretty cool too. I'd like a number 35 Raptors jersey. It'd be cool.
Okay, well, good for you.
There we go.
That's
already
really good to hear.
Already marketing.
That's good, but it's an interesting question. I don't see it either, but there's so many unknowns, and I don't know that this lineup. I mean, RJ's been playing really well. It sounds like he's still the big slam against RJ is his ability to defend and his consistency as a 3-point shooter. Quickly, I mean, we got a bit of a sample with him last year, but again, injuries were such a huge factor for him. So lots of unknowns, but I'm always a bit leery about going back to the well again. Like, yeah, it worked for Kawhi, but man, oh man, if you're giving up that much and you get one or two seasons out of Durant, that would be giving up a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if you're able to. What if you're able to send one of the forwards? Like, let's say it was There's no way they take Brandon Ingram from him. But let's say maybe Scottie Barnes, and they have to give up less picks and less other guys. And all of a sudden it's quickly RJ, Brandon Ingram, Kevin Durant, Jakob Poeltl.
I mean, it's a nice lineup, but I want to go to the teams that are in the NBA Finals right now. They didn't make deals like this.
Pascal or no?
Well, I mean,
I guess they didn't give up the farm for Pascal. It was like
and that was a cap issue. That was why they gave Pascal up, is they didn't want to pay him. And was that a good move on the part of the Raptors? Absolutely not. It was a terrible move. They should have paid him. Yeah. I mean, he was good enough to be paid what he's being paid in Indiana.
He's going to be good for a while too.
He is. So, I'm not so much of a fan. Now, if they had a shot at Giannis, and you had to give up Scottie, I'd do that. I'd do a deal. I'd be more inclined to do a deal for Giannis, giving up Scottie and another piece or two to get him, because that's a different deal. It does depend on the combination of players around him. Of course, you see in Milwaukee, Giannis had the one title, and they haven't been able to duplicate that because
Drew Holiday isn't there.
Well, Drew Holiday isn't there. That's the difference. Yeah. You're absolutely right. They haven't been able to find anybody who does for their team.
Kuzma had a historically terrible playoffs too.
Oh, Kuzma's
0-0-0-0 across the board.
Dreadful.
Again, something I could do.
You can.
Give me $20 million a year. I can do that.
You're making a compelling case on why you should be in the NBA.
Player.
You are able to do what some NBA players are doing right now in the league. What's the problem? Throw yourself into the draft.
I'll do it for a quarter of the price.
You still got a few days. Yeah. Throw yourself in. Get an agent.
I'm almost 24.
Get on the board.
I'm in my prime.
Absolutely. You're ready to hit it. So, listening to the basketball show, but a great question, Mark. Thank you for texting that in. And it'll be interesting to see, because that's one of the things I wanted to touch on as we get to our final minutes here, is the drafts coming up right away. I mean,
a Kings fan's favorite part of the year.
Absolutely.
Although I will say we don't even have a first this year. So
yeah, that's
the Kevin Huerter trade still haunts us.
Yes, it does. It does. And we've got a Rolling Stone gathers no moss, and the NBA is not a Rolling Stone is a Rolling Stone because they're always moving. We've got the draft next week. The Summer League's going to be kicking off soon down in Las Vegas. You're going to get eyes on Cooper Flagg in the Summer League and all of the other choices right now. I've been surprised at some of the chatter that I've seen online, Ryan, about there being some discussion possibly that Cooper Flagg wouldn't be the top pick. Like, it was so silly to see that, because you don't. And again,
maybe it's a smokescreen by the Mavericks. You know what I mean? Like, to kind of have the undecidedness. Because if you're the Mavericks, you don't want people to know what you're thinking, even if it's pretty obvious. Like, we both know deep down they're picking Cooper Flagg. But if you're the Mavericks, why not try to just mess with people? What if they're putting out we don't want Cooper Flagg. So everyone's like, well, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to what's wrong with him? And then it maybe creates some confusion for everyone else, even if the Mavericks know they're going to pick Cooper Flagg. Well, I don't know what their motivation is to just say they're picking Cooper Flagg. So I don't know. I think it's fine for them to have the smoke screen thing going on, even if it's fake.
Well, it kind of goes to what Kira was talking about now. Conversation is better than no conversation. It's been a fait accompli since, the year and a half ago that Cooper Flagg was going to be the number one draft pick this year. And certainly his season at Duke did nothing to dissuade anyone from thinking he wasn't the best player to pick. But it's going to be interesting to see what kind of player he is in the league, because he kind of is LeBron-esque from the standpoint of he's not a Michael Jordan type scorer, although it will be interesting to see in the NBA game, will he gravitate more towards a Luka Doncic scoring mentality, or will he remain a LeBron-like diverse talent, make the right play kind of player, plus the fact he's known as a really good defender as well. I'm excited for it. Wednesday. It's not even just next week. It's like 4 days from now. Unbelievable. The NBA Game 7's over, and on Wednesday we're
boom. Yeah. Can you imagine if you're the office of the Indiana or OKC? Especially OKC, they have like three first round picks. They're like, oh, we're done. We're time to celebrate. Nope. Back to work in 3 days.
Well, what I'm curious about for OKC is because, I mean, they've got such a great team. Now, it's going to be interesting because if they lose, it's going to be one of the historic losses by a team that was so heavily favored.
Biggest underdog win since Rick Carlisle's Mavericks, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Very well could be. That's a good point. And I'm curious, though, with the wealth of picks that they have and the looming contracts that they're going to have to pay, what they do. Can they keep SGA and J-Dub together, for instance? They're going to make changes. Who are the players that they're going to change out to get? What are they going to do with these draft picks? Are they going to trade them to get another veteran to fill in?
I think here'd be my guess. I don't know if they trade it for a veteran just for that money factor. The thing with rookies that's so important with rookies is the contract that the rookies have. It's a 4-year guaranteed deal for next to nothing for an NBA player.
Relatively speaking.
They're doing okay, but Chet's still on a rookie deal. J-Dub still has another year on a rookie deal. And J-Dub will get extended this offseason for the max, likely. All-NBA team, he'll be eligible for a lot of money. But when these guys get expensive, Chet, J-Dub, and Shea, especially now, I think Shea's eligible like $350 million. But anyways, they have to have these contracts that are workable on the team, like the rookie. So they have to hit on these picks like they've done in the past. If they trade him for a veteran, the veteran's going to cost, 15, 20 mil. That's not great compared to a rookie they can get for 8 or 9.
Well, the Thunder, I think, are a team that finally have figured it out, probably as well as any team ever in the NBA has figured it out, because they have built a team through a couple of strategic trades. SGA, I think, of course, has exceeded everybody's expectations about. I mean, he was good, but
we knew he was going to be good, not like the best player in the
MVP
world.
Good. Yeah, like not MVP good. I don't think any of us expected that, but he is. And J-Dub is he is such a good player, such a smart guy. Like when you listen to him, like the way he conducts himself, the way he carries himself, the way he competes, just a great guy. I mean, you have got pillars to build on. The guy, I think, if I had to speculate right now, I would speculate the guy they might move eventually is Holmgren.
Mr. Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. You're right. Oh my gosh.
You've never heard that one before?
I haven't.
I'll take credit for it then.
He does look like Daniel Day-Lewis portraying Abraham Lincoln. That's for sure. I think you have to look at the Thunder and say they're going to have to move some pieces. And on the backside of the bench, like players 8 through 12, who would that be? But their core of 8 is really, really good. They've got a wealth of draft picks that they have to utilize in some way, either through the draft itself, for development purposes or for trades, strategic trades, it's going to be really, really interesting. And the same for Indiana. I mean, they've got Miles Turner comes up. His contract comes up.
He's going to get money. He's going to get some money.
He's going to get some money. I don't know if the Pacers can afford him. So, I mean, he may be a guy that won't be there next year. Yep. But they've got Halliburton under contract. They have Pascal under contract. I think, they're very solid for moving forward.
They've never been a second apron team. The Indiana Pacers have. They'd never, ever exceed. Well, typically because they just don't have the talent, respectfully. But now...
Oh, they don't have the money.
Yeah.
They don't have the money to go into that world, and they still probably don't, even with all the success that they have. Their market can't handle it. Yeah. So it's going to, their ownership doesn't seem to be in that kind of fiscal position.
They need a donation from Larry, maybe.
Larry could do it if he wanted to. But Larry's been... it's been kind of fun. He's kind of peeked in once in a while.
He was there. Was he their GM for a while, or was he?
Yeah. He was GM. He was. Larry Bird was Coach of the Year when he was coaching the Pacers, and he was also GM of the Year.
What years was that? Was that during Reggie Miller? Or is that before that or after that?
It was. He was coaching when Reggie was there.
Okay.
Yeah, and Smits, and he did a great job. In fact, one of the games I saw the Wolves, it was Garnett's Wolves against Bird's Pacers. And a comment has been made by a number of people. You have no idea how tall Larry Bird actually is.
6'10"?
They say 6'9", but he's one of the few players that's 6'9", and he's probably really 6'10".
That's like the Kevin Durant thing.
Yeah.
He always said 6'9" because he's like, I'm a small forward height. So he did the same thing as maybe he was inspired by Larry Bird. Who knows?
Somewhat,
not super similar play styles, but they have some crossover. No pun intended.
None taken. But I think it's going to be a great Game 7. Can't be more excited for that. Come on out to watch. Here's a perfect basketball Sunday. Come out, watch the Stingers play. Put the Pacers on tape with the Thunder. Go home and watch the rest of the final and have it all on tape. It'll be a great day.
Then have my high school highlights in there somewhere.
Well, that'll be a good 2 or 3 seconds. So the song we're playing right now is called David's Song, written by and performed by my son Ben, who we lost just over 2 years ago, about a friend of his named David Finkelman, who we lost several years before him, both tragically. Both were kind, active people in other people's lives, always being kind to others. David would always say, take energetic action in your life. And Ben always went out of his way to be kind to people who were struggling. So I urge you, always be kind to your fellow man, because you never know what they're going through. So every week I try to pay tribute to our son Ben, who we miss so much. Thank you for joining us here on the Basketball Show. Ryan, thanks so much for today.
Go Pacers.
Go Pacers. That's right. Love the Thunder. I don't mind either winning, but I want the Pacers.
I love underdogs. If it was the other way around, the Pacers are heavy favorite, I'd be cheering for OKC.
It would be a marvelous victory. So
my family's all cheering OKC. So
okay, well you're good to be contradicting them. Yes. So thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks to Avery, Kira, and Scotty for joining us. Have a great week on and off the court. 3x3 in 5.5 weeks. Mark it on your calendar. This is Paul Sir on behalf of Ryan Reed. Have a great week on and off the court. This has been the Basketball Show on your sports leader, Sports 1440.